And I'm not going to speak without knowing what the law is in that particular circumstance.
Okay,
because
we can talk about something that Trump did that's relevant, like how the most recent case from Cobb says that what he did in deploying the National Guard was illegal. Do you think that they should ignore those?
Here's the annoying thing. These guys are Googling shit during this debate right now and talking about stuff that they don't understand. Dr. Chops is over on Twitch trying to make it more active. Come on, Twitch, you guys can talk. You guys are there. So here, this is again from Wikipedia. I'll bring this up just so you guys can see it too. Armed conflict declaration and escalation. So we have Trump formally notified Congress on the 1st of October that the U.S. was in a non-international armed conflict with unlawful combatants. Regarding unlawful combatants are not foreign enemy combatants. Unlawful combatants are something different. Regarding drug cartels in the Caribbean, specifically referencing the 15 September strike, the Miami Herald wrote that in armed conflict, a country can lawfully kill enemy fighters even when they pose no threat. Initially positioned as a mission to stop narcotics traffic to the U.S. by mid-October, Venezuelan opposition figures and independent analysts confirmed a shift in U.S. objectives towards regime change. They confirmed a shift. Okay, cool. With Trump acknowledging the possibility of strikes within Venezuelan territory. On 16th October, Admiral Alvin Halsey, the commander of the United States Southern Command, announced that he would retire at the end of the year, less than a year into what was normally a 3-year placement, with anonymous sources reporting tension between Halsey and the Trump administration. Who fucking cares? Again, tension between a general and the commanding officer with the general that has the ability to resign is not a problem. That's an okay thing. Hegeseth, 13th of November, Hegeseth announced the unveiling of Operation Southern Spear, led by Joint Task Force Southern Spear, and using a fleet with robotics and autonomous systems to target Latin American drug trafficking. Okay. Again, so experts have questioned the legality of the strikes under U.S. and international law. The U.S. Coast Guard or other law enforcement agencies had been responsible for U.S. drug interdiction efforts for decades prior to the strikes, and suspects were prosecuted as a criminal matter. But according to CNN, the DOJ argued before the strikes began that the president is legally allowed to authorize lethal strikes against 24 cartels and criminal organizations in self-defense because the groups pose an imminent threat to Americans. Experts speaking to the BBC said that the second of September strike was potentially illegal under international maritime and human rights law. Potentially, right? Though the U.S. is not a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Sea, previous U.S. policy had been to act in a manner consistent with its provisions. Countries are not supposed to interfere with ships in international waters except in cases such as hot pursuit out of a country's territorial waters. We're not party to it. Just because we had a prior policy that says we act in accordance with it doesn't make us party to it or subject to its law. This is crazy.
Destiny is a stripper's name, thus stripper levels of intelligence.
Hey, I know strippers who are way smarter than Destiny. Come on. Don't be mean to those girls.
Orders because the person ruled.
At which level? At which level of court is that?
I don't remember what
exactly. It wasn't the Supreme Court. It wasn't the Supreme Court. And that's my point, is that these cases go back and forth. Now, you have to put this in a practical sense, because...
Wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait. Just real quick. Just real quick. Well, because he just misquoted something, because maybe he doesn't know the difference. I don't know if he knows what a preliminary injunction is or a TRO is, but you don't need the Supreme Court to rule on something to stay or to order a preliminary injunction or a TRO. So I don't know why you just said why you're pretending that something needs to go all the way up to the Supreme Court before a lawful...
Whoa. A preliminary injunction doesn't determine the legality or illegality of an order. What are you talking about? Destiny's like, you look, you don't need the Supreme Court to... What? It is not actually an unlawful order until it is fully resolved in court and the appeal windows are over. What are we talking about here? These people are fucking dumb.
Order is issued. Okay, just to be clear, go ahead. The next thing
I'll answer that question, which is a pretty simple question. Every time there's been a TRO that's been issued against him, Trump has fought against it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Every time. It doesn't. Hold on. Excuse me. Are you implying? Let me just be clear. Are you implying that if a TRO is issued, is approved against you at a district or a circuit court, that if you violate the lawful command of that TRO, of that preliminary injunction, that if it eventually gets overturned to the Supreme Court, you won't face some kind of contempt or criminal consequence?
Yeah, not if you're the president. These fucking cucks don't get it. Go back to Andrew Jackson. When the president mans up in front of the fucking Supreme Court and says, all right, boys, let's measure. He outmeasures all 9 10 times out of 10. Every fucking time the president has stood up to the Supreme Court, the president wins because the Supreme Court is obeyed at the whimsy of the president because he's the goddamn motherfucking president of the United States. And those unelected 9 give a legal opinion, and the president doesn't have to follow it. Because if he doesn't follow it, what can they do? Nothing. What can we do? Nothing. Only person who can do something is Congress, who can file papers of impeachment and he can be tried in the Senate. That's it. If the president's defiance of the Supreme Court is so egregious, only then will he be impeached, tried, and convicted and removed. That is the process by which a president loses to the Supreme Court, and only that. And it only happens by Congress executing its plenary authority to impeach and try the president. It can't happen from the court, and it can't happen from us. The court has to sit and watch other people do it. There's no way around it. The president wins every fucking time. Only reason they follow orders of the court is because it's politically expedient to do so, and it's less likely that they'll be impeached if they do. It's entirely at the president's discretion. There's no separation of powers police that'll say, okay, president, you didn't listen to the court, you got to go. That doesn't exist. Only by impeachment, period. The Common Nerd has rated over on Rumble. Thank you, the Common Nerd and your viewers. Well, the court said so. The court said so. If the president wants to fucking whip it out in front of the court, they have to just look at it. That's all they can do. Andrew Jackson's famous quote was, "The Chief Justice has given his decision. Now let's see him enforce it." This is crazy.